Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. Secretary of State John Kerry says he's turning his attention to the UN and the international community to put into force a deal he negotiated with Russia to rid Syria of chemical weapons. Kerry is in Paris now to consult with allies. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports.
Secretary Kerry will be meeting here with his British and French counterparts to talk about ways to move forward with the chemical weapons deal.
It is a framework, not a final agreement. It is a framework that must be put into effect by the United Nations now.
And that requires Russia to agree to a binding Security Council resolution with consequences if Syria does not comply. Kerry came to Paris after meeting in Jerusalem with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Israeli leader says the determination that the international community shows on Syria will have an impact on Iran, which he calls Syria's patron. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, Paris.
Efforts to provide aid to Syria are becoming more urgent. UN humanitarian aid chief Valerie Amos spoke at a press conference in Tehran today. She said the humanitarian situation in the war-torn country is dire.
We now have a situation where 6.8 million people in the country are in urgent need of help. That's nearly a third of the population.
Amos also urged Tehran to use its influence as an ally to allow greater aid access to Syria. Hurricane Ingrid and Tropical Storm Manuel, which are pounding the east and west coast of Mexico, have killed at least a dozen people in the country, which is celebrating Independence Day weekend. James Blears reports.
Tropical Storm Manuel's closing in on the southwestern state of Guerrero. 6 people in an SUV were killed as it went out of control in the international vacation resort of Acapulco. 5 more died in a landslide in Guerrero State, where the city is situated, and another person in a wall collapse. Hurricane Ingrid, which is the second hurricane of the Atlantic season, is expected to make landfall in the northeastern state of Tamaulipas. Independence celebrations have been scrapped in the cities of Tampico, Madero, and Altamira. Thousands already evacuated to emergency shelters. For NPR News, I'm James Blears in Mexico City.
Rescue crews in Colorado are continuing to search for people trapped by floods. Nearly 200 residents are waiting to be airlifted to safety, but bad weather is hampering efforts. Rocky Mountain Incident Management Team Commander Shan Del Gross says he's worried the situation will get worse with additional rainfall in the forecast.
Are we going to get new flooding? Flooding where we had it before? That is a concern.
4 people are confirmed dead and 2 people are missing. This is NPR. It's been a violent day in Iraq. Officials say at least 40 people were killed in a wave of car bombings and shootings. Most of the attacks appear to target Shiite Muslims. The deadliest took place near a busy market where 2 car bombs exploded within minutes of each other, killing at least 9 people. No one has claimed responsibility. In the Philippines, nearly 100 Muslim guerrillas who've been holding hostages have been killed or captured in a standoff with army troops and special police forces. The standoff has been going on for almost a week. From Manila, Simone Orendine reports the government continued its operation Sunday and has taken back some rebel-held locations.
Philippine military spokesman General Domingo Tataan says troops are engaging in calibrated operations against the Moro National Liberation Front.
It's not just simply fighting against the enemy. We have to make sure that these civilians who are held against their will and are used as human shields are not caught in the crossfire.
The vice president tried to broker a ceasefire with the head of the MNLF faction that was expected to take effect at the start of the weekend, but top officials on the ground said sniper and mortar fire was still going on, so the government stepped up its offensive. The military says it interceded Monday when it learned about a plan by the rebels to fly a separatist flag at Zamboanga City Hall. For NPR News, I'm Simone Orendine in Manila.
There's been a coal mine disaster in Afghanistan. Officials say a tunnel collapsed this weekend at a mine in the northern part of the country. At least 24 bodies have been recovered by rescue teams. 3 other workers are missing. This is NPR News.
Support for NPR comes from CS.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
The Legacy Group in Silverdale is a well-respected independent mortgage banker, absolutely committed to helping Kitsap County families on their path to home ownership. As an employee-owned company, the Legacy Group has a strong stake in your success, and they want to be your lifetime partner in helping you develop a strong real estate portfolio. Call the Legacy Group in Silverdale today at 698-6440 and find out how they can help you get started on the road to home ownership. 698-6440 for the Legacy Group, a lending experience that's a little different and a lot smarter.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece, give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
And welcome to another edition of The Raw Nerve with your host, Susan C. We'll gladly take your phone calls at 253-617-1774. And now here's your host, the real deal, Susan C. You're live, dear.
Oh, thank you, dear. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is another Sunday. Gosh.
They let me play with buttons.
I know. We shouldn't do that. We should know better by now. But we don't. We let you play. I hope you all have had a terrific week. I'll tell you, it's been a hectic week.
And I passed up the Seahawks game to be here, too.
Oh, what, were you going to go or just sit on your butt and watch it on TV?
I was sitting on my butt and watching it all.
Yeah. Quit your whining. Don't you have DVR?
No.
Who doesn't have DVR?
I'm doing good that I have cable just because I'm house sitting.
I don't know how I lived before DVR. I swear. I don't know how I did it.
It was VCR.
Yeah. I remember VCR, and don't pop the little pop out the little plastic thing. So you pop it out so people can't tape over your wedding. Yeah, I remember VCRs. But it has been a crazy, crazy, crazy week. Now, joining me, as most of you know, behind the glass, making me sound good, is Bad Boy Dennis D. How you doing, darling?
Just wonderful.
And I'll tell you now,
spiffy.
You got one more D Derby coming, right?
Yes, this
when
Saturday.
This coming Saturday.
Yes, time trials at 4:30. It's play day. Anybody's game.
Now, what do they do on the last day of D Derby? At the end of the season, what do they do?
Some people really go out and trash their cars.
Oh, ouch.
Just to make them not drivable for the next year.
Why?
Because their car has no hope for the next year.
Oh, well.
So they get the last little bit out of it they can.
Just kind of wring the last drop of oil and blood out.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that sounds like fun. Now, when and where? What time?
It is at the Kitsap County Fairgrounds at Thunderbird Stadium. Time trials at 4:30.
And
promptly.
Dennis, of course, is the voice of the Kitsap County D Derby.
Yes.
And you can go down there and hear his dulcet tones.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Calling that, yeah, I can believe it. Lots and lots and lots to talk about today, I'll tell you that. A lot of stuff. I want to take a minute, though, to talk about something that nobody ever discusses. I've never seen it really written down anywhere. I've never seen it on a blog. Interesting situation happened last night. And this is the sort of thing that happens. It's a risk you run if you are out there putting things into the ether and you don't know, I don't know, maybe somebody who does an internet radio show might happen to see and talk about. I love Facebook. Okay, I love Facebook, excuse me, because my daughters are on Facebook and it's really fun. It's a great way to keep track of them and what they're up to, what's new in their lives, pictures of the kids and all. It's really great. I love it. Got a lot of friends on Facebook. We have a great time. Now, something happened yesterday that's never, ever happened before. And I was actually, I got to tell you, I was kind of at a loss. I was nonplussed, as they say. And that's not easy to do to me. That's not easy. But my daughter, if you don't know how Facebook works, you have a wall, a page. It's your wall. And everybody that you've allowed to be your friend, that you've clicked, yes, be my friend, they can go on your wall and they can see information you put up there, and they can see other friends that you've got. They can see other posts that you put up, all sorts of stuff. If you are not somebody's friend, you cannot see so much. You can't see hardly anything, really. Well, my daughter has a friend on her wall who apparently posted on Facebook to the effect, I should have written it down, but I didn't, but it was to the effect that I can't take it anymore. I'm not going to wait around to hear the diagnosis. I'm going to kill myself.
Lovely.
Flat, put it out there on Facebook. My daughter, of course, is like, Eeps, what do you do? And I'm like, really? Well, I went to her page, and she's not a friend on my page, so I couldn't see much. But I could see that post that she'd put up. And I'm like, yep, that's what it says. And if you went back, she'd been talking about it since around the 2nd of September. And I'm sitting there all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, what do you do? What do you do? This is Facebook. Facebook is all over the world. This individual was in Australia. Okay, it's not like this is somebody living a couple of blocks down or, a couple of towns over. This person lives in Australia. And I'm sitting there putting on my thinking cap, and I'm like, what in the good Lord do you do? So, I have a couple of friends on my wall who live in Australia. And my daughter she didn't have any friends that lived in Australia, but she had, this girl was, her friend. And I put a status up there saying, please help anybody I know that's in Australia. This is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. Are you online? And one of my friends happened to be online who lives in Australia. And all I knew was that this was her name. And she lives in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. And that's all I had. And my daughter was going through her friend wall, which has more information, trying to mine it for some information to try to figure out where this gal was. And it had on there that she was engaged to this young man, and her photo on there, she was, she's a young, beautiful woman. She's an author looking for a literary agent. Sounds like she's getting her career together. And I was really frantic. I just picture this happening and nobody being able to do anything about it. And there's something wrong when you can put out a message like that and then nobody can do anything about it. So I'm putting the word out. My daughter's putting the word out. We've got people calling, writing us back on Facebook. Her boyfriend, who has experience with dialing out of country, which I do not know. I don't know how to do that. I mean, I do now, but I didn't at the time. I've never called out of the country in my life. But he called Australia. They had a suicide prevention line. It was offline. That was great. Then he finally gets hold of somebody who informs him that they don't send anybody out to check on things like this. If somebody has an issue and they need some help, they have to come in. And I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, because if someone is actually serious about what they're saying, to the point of actually doing something to themselves, they're not going to go get help because they don't want it. You know what I'm saying? And it was really very upsetting. It was really, really, and I'm just frantic, and I'm typing, and I'm anybody, blah, blah. And it turned out that my daughter found a cell phone number for this young lady way back in one of her previous posts. And I put that out there. I said, okay, normally I would never do this, but she can always get a new phone number. This is her cell phone number. And apparently the police tried calling her. She didn't answer. Somebody said that they had seen her leave earlier. But the upshot of the whole thing, and this is like 3 hours later, all of a sudden, the original post that was on her wall saying, I can't take it anymore, I'm going to kill myself.
Oh, she took it down.
Disappears, okay? And we're like, okay, that's odd, because we're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And my daughter, who's sitting on the sofa over here with her laptop, so we're like dueling laptops here, she's like, well, that's kind of odd. And then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, another post pops up saying, I don't know what's going on. I haven't been on my computer all day. And all of a sudden, I've got all these weird messages. And I'm looking at my daughter, and I'm like, what the hey? And she looked at me, and she's like, somebody got hold of her. And now she's embarrassed. Okay. And I got to thinking about it, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. Because I don't know if the police actually got hold of her, but I'm sure a lot of her friends, because I told my daughter, I said, you are a friend of hers. You can see her friends. I said, maybe you can IM some of her friends who aren't maybe paying attention or something. And today on her wall, she said that, well, if I find out, who sent, the police came to my house and blah, 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 and all this stuff, I find out who it is, I'm going to kick somebody's butt. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and right as I'm thinking this, one of her friends pops up the same thing on her wall, saying pretty much the same thing, saying, you've got people all over the world concerned about you, and you're upset.
Yeah, that's something to be whining and crying about.
Yeah. And I got to thinking about it last night before I went to bed, and I'm like, my God, here I am sitting in Bremerton, Washington, clear on the other side, about as far around the country, of the world, as you can get from this girl.
Yeah.
And myself, my daughter, her boyfriend, my friends that I had working with me on the wall with this, we're all coordinating, we're all getting together, coming together for this girl's benefit, because we're all worried. We're all genuinely, sincerely worried. And I'm a big believer that you don't put out something like, I'm going to kill myself.
Right.
Unless you mean it. That's not something people joke about. This isn't, just kidding. No. Even if somebody is stupid enough to do that, don't expect the people who see that to assume that's what you're doing. Because I think if you do, you're stupid. But it got me thinking about responsibilities on social media. Where does your responsibility begin? Where does your responsibilities end? It's real easy. It's real easy in a situation like that to say, oh, I never saw it when you did. So that kind of, explains why you didn't do anything.
Seeing all this, and you could have been watching Vanilla Ice perform on TV.
I know, go figure. But the whole thing of it is it comes around to, is that thunder?
I think so.
Good Lord. We don't get a lot of thunder here, so it is a remarkable event. But it comes around to, at some point or another, you have to be able to look in the mirror at yourself. And I don't think I could have looked at myself in the mirror the same way today that I do look at myself in the mirror today if I had done nothing. So people can say, oh, you overreacted. You're in somebody's business where you don't belong. No.
They shouldn't have put their business out there on Front Street for people to see.
That's right. Be careful. If you don't want people reacting to what you put on Facebook, you put on social media, I don't care if it's a Twitter.
Then don't put it out.
Don't put it out there. That's it. Thank you. Don't put it out there.
That's why you put it out there, is because you're after a reaction. We're not stupid.
Yes. And I'll tell you, if the reaction you're looking for is people clear on the other side of the planet being frantic and concerned about your well-being, this is the best way to do it. I'll tell you. Put on there, you're going to kill yourself.
Well, you know what, though? You found enough people that cared about her to check on her over in Australia. You can find someone that cares enough to kick her butt too.
No kidding. At this point, no, I understand she's dealing with a lot. She's waiting to get a diagnosis. I guess she had some tests done. And my daughter this morning was saying, well, maybe somebody hacked her account or something, because that happens. And I'm like, I might have thought that if it weren't for the fact that when you went back in her earlier posts, she's been talking like this. I mean, not this bluntly, but hinting around about it since the 2nd of September. So I don't believe this was I'm going to wake up this morning and put some, BS on my Facebook page and see what happens, So just want to put the point out there to people. If you put it on Facebook, if you put it on social media, you put it on your Twitter account, Tumblr, I don't care what you're using, your Yahoo, whatever. Do not be then angry because the people who see it take you seriously. The people who see this believe you. Because I'll tell you, if it were a joke, I would much rather, get the Australian police in their cars going over to her house to check on her to find out it was a joke than to have a cleaning lady come in the morning and say, oh my goodness, we have this dead young woman here. Heavens. Yeah, I mean, really, really, seriously. It does make me wonder. It does make me wonder.
That was thunder.
That was thunder. That was pretty good thunder. But it just amazes me.
It's still going.
I know, it's still rolling. I don't know if I'm assuming y'all can hear this because, well, if I can hear it, there's a microphone here and everything. Just explaining what's going on here. But it occurred to me. People put, and they really do, I swear to you, hand to God, they really do, put the most outrageous things out there in the net. They put the most personal moments of their lives, their families' lives. My own daughter was getting close to what I consider a line you don't cross the other night. And I put on her Facebook account, I typed in on there, and it said, shut the hell up. This is not the place. And it really isn't, because people forget. Everyone hears about the silly college pictures and drunk party pictures or smoking with a bong pictures that kept them from getting a job because a potential employer saw it or kept them out of a good school or whatever. Everybody hears about that. What you don't hear about are the thousands of people who see your posts. Maybe they don't like your post, they don't click like on it, they don't share it, they don't comment on it, but they see it.
But they see it, yes.
That's it. They see it. And you may never hear another thing back about it, but that person who saw it is talking to their friends about, do you know what I just saw on Facebook? Or do you know what I just saw a tweet for? Oh my God. Oh my God, Becky. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Why'd you have to go with Becky?
I like big butts. Just popped in my head. Get off my back. Popped in my head.
I just had to check on that.
I'm not scripted here, okay? But it just amazes me how far people will strip their lives bare in front of total strangers. And it is true. It is true that after a while, the people who are friends on your wall, you get very comfortable with those people because they're the people you have allowed on your wall. And you get very comfortable with them, but you don't really know them. Not really. I mean, I have maybe 5-6 friends on Facebook that have been friends for, we're talking, a long period of time now. So we've talked about all sorts of things, and I've seen pictures, and we've done. Those people I feel pretty comfortable with being what they portray themselves to be. There are other people I don't know from Adam, and I never forget that I don't know these people from Adam. And anything that I say to one of my friends that I do feel comfortable with, my friends that I don't know from Adam are looking at that too. And I don't forget that. And I think it's something people really, really need to keep in mind. We live in a strange time. I grew up before computers. There were no computers in my school. The only computers in my school, the teachers used, the administration used. We kind of saw them over the desk, go, ooh, that looks cool. What is it? We didn't play with them. I think we just started when I hit senior year. They're starting, like at the library, had a couple of computers that we could use. And that was about it. But we've gone from no interaction like that to everything. When I was growing up, everything was face-to-face or telephone. Face-to-face or wired telephone. That was it. And now we have cell phones. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Yahoo. There are so many. We have Skype. There are so many, many, many different ways to communicate out there. We're losing the connection that we had as people, as individuals, with people that we know. My daughters and a lot of young people out there, they think of some of their friends on social media the same as they think of their friends that they know in real life, that they go out and they've gone places and done things together, and they really aren't. Like I said, I have a handful that I would count that way, but I have a lot more friends on my Facebook wall that, no, they're not there. But a lot of young people today don't think of it that way. That's why there are so many embarrassing. Andrew Weiner, good example. Mr. Weiner. Brought down low for sexting, taking suggestive photographs of himself. How full of yourself do you have to be to even take those? Think about it. And texting them to young women. Okay. Brought low. This is a man who's a public official. There's a public eye. He's young enough that computers and whatnot were part of his growing up years. He's familiar with the concept. He's familiar with how it works. And yet he fell into this as well. And he's not the only one. You know that well as I do. He's not the only one. You take that picture, you send it to somebody you know. It's not just the person you know seeing it. Even I know this. Even I know that. And I am the least technical person probably on the face of the planet who's over probably about 14 years old. I'm terrible with it. I admit it. I admit it full out. I'm terrible with it. But I'm learning. And I struggle with it. And I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around this cloud thing right now. But I still don't ever lose sight of the fact that what I put out there, people are seeing it that I don't know who they are. I don't know what their agenda is. I mean, I stepped away from the computer for a few hours yesterday, or no, this morning. Yeah. And I sat down and there was an IM, an instant message, and I didn't recognize the name on it, but I popped it up, see what it was. And it was this fellow talking about how he's in danger of losing his internet connection, and what do we have? Well, we don't have our communications, and he just needs a little help. If he could get $200, you know, and those who give are never forgotten. That's, you know, he told me this. It must be true. And amazingly, he sent me the Western Union information to send this $200, and it was to an address in Nigeria. I didn't even get the prints. I mean, I'm kind of disappointed, but yeah. Just out of fun, for the heck of it, I looked on his page. I went back and looked on his page. Now, his page says, and this is probably why I friended him or accepted a friend request in the first place, that he lived in Virginia, Columbia, Virginia. He worked for an internet company, and he played a couple of the games that I play with my daughters.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm all the time getting friend requests for people who play certain games, and you need neighbors to play well and do well. So,
right.
You know, but I always look, and somebody will send me a friend request, and one of the first things I do now is I go to their wall and I check their post and make sure they are in English. It got so bad on my wall. I mean, I couldn't read half my wall because it was in either Russian or Filipino or French or something that I couldn't read. I had no idea what these people were talking about. And I ended up having to weed all this out, and now I go check. But just remember, I'm just telling you, if you put it out there, just assume everybody on the planet is looking at it. Not bad advice. Taking a break here at the bottom of the hour. We'll be back right after this. I'll see you in a few.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
The Legacy Group in Silverdale is a well-respected independent mortgage banker, absolutely committed to helping Kitsap County families on their path to home ownership. As an employee-owned company, the Legacy Group has a strong stake in your success, and they want to be your lifetime partner in helping you develop a strong real estate portfolio. Call the Legacy Group in Silverdale today at 698-6440 and find out how they can help you get started on the road to home ownership. 698-6440 for the Legacy Group, a lending experience that's a little different and a lot smarter.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
Rachel's on the East Side boasts a full menu, including pasta and sandwiches. Plus, Rachel's has got the best pizza in all of Bremerton. And while the weather's nice, enjoy a great night at Rachel's by enjoying their outdoor seating area. Rachel's on the East Side, conveniently located at 1217 Silverway in Bremerton. Rachel's is even open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. So whether it's a romantic night out or a family outing, enjoy the best food on the Kitsap Peninsula at Rachel's on the East Side.
Welcome back to the Raw Nerve, only on EdgeMediaSource.com. You give us a call at 253-617-1774, or just log on in and leave your comments on the page. Now back to your host. Here she is, Susan C.
Thank you, Dennis. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back on this drizzly, thundery, lightning Sunday.
Lightning is crashing.
I think summer's over.
Yeah?
I hate to say it. I think we're still going to have a few nice days. We usually do in October. But I think the days up in the 80s, I think they're pretty much gone. I really do. But I'll tell you, we've had a phenomenal year this year. We really have. It's been unbelievable weather. We've set records right and left. Just right and left, usually for temperature. It's amazing. But I got to tell you, a lot of things going on. Be sure if you're going to check out I'm pretty sure the Kitsap County Fair is still going on. I know it is.
No, it's not. The Kitsap County Fair is over.
No, not Kitsap County. I meant the Puyallup Fair.
The Washington State Fair.
Don't go by what I say. Go by what I mean to say. There. You know that.
I'm just trying to help the confused out.
The Washington State Fair in Puyallup. There we go. And no, it's not Puyallup. Yeah, it's Puyallup. And I have to admit, I have never been to the Puyallup Fair. Never. And last Friday, my husband and I got a bug, and we just decided, well, let's go see what the big deal is. We go to the Kitsap County Fair. And not every year, but often we go. You don't have to go very often because you go one year, and it's pretty much the same thing forever. But we thought we'd go check out the Puyallup Fair and see what the big deal was. Do the Puyallup. So we go down there, and of course, you have to pay to park because people turn their businesses into parking lots as you get closer to the fairgrounds. And the further out you are, of course, the cheaper it is. You can park for $5, $10, whatever. And then as you get closer, it gets more expensive. And my husband decides to park, at a little lot in a restaurant parking lot for $20. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? $20 to park? And he goes, but look where we are. And I'm like, where are we? And he said, you see this intersection right here? Yeah. You see that building over there? Yeah. That's the gate to get in the fair. Right there. Boom. And I'm like, okay, it might be worth it when we come out and we're tired. Which was actually turned out to be a brilliant thing because after 8 hours, Mama wanted to minimize walking as much as possible. Thank you very much. But I got to tell you, $12.50 a person to get in. $12.50 a person. Then, when you get in, if you want to ride a ride, the tickets are 50 cents a piece. That doesn't sound too bad. But every ride takes a minimum of X number of tickets, and we figured up the average was $4 to $5 a person per ride.
Yeah.
That's what it was. 4 to 5 could be. This ride would take 7 or 8 tickets, or 10 or 12 tickets, whatever, at 50 cents a piece. It adds up fast. You want to get something to drink? God help you. Getting a slushy for the love of God. That you can go down and get a giant thing at 7-Eleven for what is it? $2.10, I think it is, for a big honking thing. Of course, it's a fair. You're going to pay $5 for this.
Yeah, fair prices are crazy.
Fair prices are insane. And my husband and I were walking around, and I told him, I said, I don't understand how young families with small children can do this. I really don't. I don't understand how they can afford it. Because I know how my kids were when they were little. We took them to the fair, a smaller fair, and it was always, I'm hungry. I want something to drink. I want to go on that. Oh, can I have? That's kind of the point of a little kid going to the fair. Their eyes get like this, and they want everything they see because it's designed that way. I understand this. We were looking at maybe getting some of the little fair toys to take home to the grandkids. And but you figure we've got 7 of them, right? Right here.
It's a setup.
And you can't get a fair toy for less than, you can get a really cheap thing that won't last more than, a day for $8. If you want something that's going to last a little longer, it's going to cost you $10, $15 a piece. And I'm like, they're on drugs. And they say made in China right on them. They're very cheaply made. And I'm like, for the love of Pete. And I thought it'd be fun to go down, maybe do some arcades, games, play some arcade games. And I'm pretty good at some of those. And hubby's pretty good too. And we go down there and they're like, $2, $3 a turn. And anybody will tell you can't win anything on a turn. You can't really even have any fun on a turn. You play it a few times.
Nope. They got to get that money out of you for that 75-cent stuffed animal.
Yeah, really. And, it occurred to me. Now, this is just my opinion. Okay, it's just my opinion, but it's United States of America. I'm entitled to it. But it occurred to me that if I were to go down there and get booth space, okay, and I stocked that with cheap toys next year, but I sold them for a reasonable price, like $3 a piece, I would sell out so much and make so much money in volume that I told my husband, I don't think we'd make it to our car at night. One of the other booths would shiv us. We'd be found face down in the parking lot. Be like, how dare you? buck the system. You can't buck the system.
Oh yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's insane. Oh, and they have the slingshot. Have you seen that?
No.
Hands down, the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, to sling you up in the air and.
Yeah, it's giant rubber bands, and they pull you down.
Yep.
And strap you to a seat, and then they let you go, and it springs up in the air and it spins.
And they want $50 for that.
It's $30 per person, and $20 if you want the DVD, because there's a camera mounted right there, getting your. I always wonder where they got those pictures.
Yeah.
That they show like on these funny video shows. How do they get the? Now I know how. They've got.
I don't need
camera.
a DVD of me screaming.
Yeah, screaming like a little girl.
Yes, I would be.
Yeah, but I think I would be beyond screaming. I would be voiceless. I would just be. Oh my God, yeah. But a few people did it. There were a few brave souls doing it. No. Yeah. But I think it's disappointing that the state fair, which I think should be a matter of pride for the people of whatever state you live in. The Washington State Fair should be a matter of state pride for the people in Washington, the Colorado and the California Fair, and like that. I grew up going to the Kansas State Fair. I'm one of the weird ones. I like going through looking at the livestock. They're cute. And I like going through looking at, so-and-so won a blue ribbon for this quilt or that canning grew something huge, I like that. I grew up in Kansas. I like that sort of thing, okay?
Toto, yes, there are people who do. We're not in Kansas anymore.
Shut up. Ugh, some people. Got to educate you, I swear. But nowadays, if it doesn't plug in, it's no fun.
That's right.
But I got to tell you.
Look, I had a Stretch Armstrong.
My brother had one. Oh, we tortured that thing. Oh, we should have gone to jail for what we did, that poor thing.
See, and the trouble that it saved what you didn't do to your brother.
Well, I just did that later. But I was the little sister, so I got more than I gave. But it occurs to me that it's very, very hard for a state to have pride in a state fair is the place where the people, the populace of the state, get judged for their hobbies, their creativity, the things they've made, the things they've grown, the things they've baked, whatever. As corny and down-home Andy Griffith as that sounds, it's a big deal to the people who do it. It's a big deal, I swear to you. It should not be so expensive, so blindingly expensive, that the average family can't afford to come in and take advantage and enjoy it. It really should. It should be... The state fair should be a populace-based entertainment venue. Carrie Underwood was singing the night we were there. No, we didn't go see her. Tickets started at $45. That was in nosebleed. On the 19th, I believe Larry the Cable Guy comes. I would sure like to see that. But you have to
afford it.
You have to pay the $12.50 a person again to get into the fair in order to go in and pay your money to get the ticket to go see the headliner.
Not if you buy them ahead of time.
That's the trick. And they do have the bracelets. They do have the bracelets.
Buy them ahead of time, and then your fair entrance is free.
Yeah. But if you go down there, like a lot of people who live around there do, but you can get bracelets that let you ride all day for, just show them the bracelet you're paid for. But they're $50 a piece. And if you have, like we had 3 kids, there's $150 just for that, just for rides. And that doesn't cover if they want to play anything in the arcades, which of course they want to because the arcades are all around the rides. The kids see it. It's just, no. I'm just saying let's go back to a time when everyone could afford to go and everyone could afford to participate. Everybody could afford to take their families out and do something wholesome. Just a thought rattling around my poor empty head. Yeah, my husband says I complain a lot about cost and prices, and I do. I really do. Lord knows I could squeeze a nickel to the buffalo poops, but the bottom line of it is, nowadays you shouldn't have to, not for necessities. If you want something, that crosses a line into a luxury item, something you don't really need, maybe, okay, there's room to play with. My heartburn, and I've said this for years, is that companies nowadays, and I don't care what company it is, I don't care what it is they sell, I don't care what they manufacture, I don't care what they promote. Companies today are not happy with making a decent profit. They're not comfortable going to their shareholders at the meeting and saying, we made look at this. We made a good profit. We made a decent profit here. And the shareholders all clap and everybody's happy. And yay. No. Nowadays, companies have to make an obscene profit. It has to be obscene. Otherwise, heads will roll. You hear about a large company and the CEO is gone, is being replaced. It's because they did not make an obscene profit. They might have just made a decent profit. And it annoys me to no end, how greed-oriented our entire economy is. I'm all for capitalism. I think capitalism is terrific. Capitalism, if it works right, actually keeps prices down because of competition. But I'll tell you, we're losing that fast. We're losing it fast. Somebody somewhere needs to put the brakes on and say, look, people's incomes are not keeping up with inflation. It's getting to the point where necessities of life are costing as much over that line as luxuries do. And that's to the point of getting stupid. It's just getting stupid. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Well, I'll tell you what. It's called the raw nerve because I talk about what's on my last nerve. These are things that are on my last nerve. Really getting me ticked. And I'll tell you, a lot of people out there don't really realize the scope of what's happening right now in Colorado. I don't know. I don't understand it. I really don't, because you watch the news, they give it a 3-minute blurb on what's going on in Colorado. People are dying. Residents of Colorado towns isolated by devastating floods have a choice. Leave now or face weeks without basic supplies, including running water and electricity. This is what the officials in the areas are warning people. They say, we're not trying to force anyone from their home. We're not trying to be forceful, but we're trying to be very factual and definitive about the consequences of their decisions. And we hope that they will come down. This is according to Boulder County Sheriff Joe Pelle. Now, residents who insist on staying might not get another chance to leave for some time because rescuers will not risk another chance to return for the people who chose not to evacuate. I can talk. In other words, if they don't get out now, nobody's going to make a really concerted effort to get back in there if it gets really, really nasty to get them out because they were warned. They have been warned. This is terrible down there. It really is. Now, at the moment, some 14,500 people live in areas under evacuation orders, according to officials, with 17 Colorado counties affected by the flood waters. The total area affected is bounded in the north by Fort Collins, the south by Colorado Springs, and the west by the foothills of the Rockies. To the east is bound by the Denver suburbs. President Barack Obama has also declared a major disaster in the flood-ridden state. The White House announced this today. The declaration allows Boulder County homeowners and business owners who are suffering from flood devastation to receive federal funds, including low-cost loans and grants for temporary housing. 4 people have been confirmed dead in the flooding, with more than 584 people unaccounted for. 584 people, they don't know where they are. And nowadays, that's a hard thing to do. Disappear? Yeah. Now, the number of missing people may rise or fall, according to officials. They're unsure of whether those who are unaccounted for are stranded, injured, or just have not had the chance to reach out to family and friends because of poor communication in the area. We're assuming there may be further loss of life and injuries, according to Sheriff Pelle. Given the devastation of some of those canyons, it's definitely a high probability. More than 1,750 people and hundreds of pets have been rescued by over 450 National Guardsmen and Army soldiers, according to the Colorado National Guard. Forecasters warn that more rain is ahead. Scattered thunderstorms are expected throughout the region today, with the greatest concentration from western Wyoming through central and western Colorado into the mountains of New Mexico. These thunderstorms have the potential to dump an inch of rain or more in less than an hour.
It's a lot of rain.
That's a stupid amount of rain. People don't understand. This is a gully washer. This isn't a, wow, it's really coming down now.
A gully washer? What is a gully washer?
Shut up. You fetus, shut up. It's a gully washer. That's when the sky's open and God himself says it's going to rain.
Are you making up your own words now?
No, I grew up with that one. Thank you very much.
Oh, gee, we can thank Virginia for that.
Kansas.
Yeah, wherever Dorothy's from.
Dorothy, the girl with the dress, yeah, the shoes.
And a little dog.
And the shoes, yes. But my brother lives in Denver, Colorado. And I was just down there the 4th of July. And he posted pictures on Facebook of this sort of man-made canyon that they have going through Denver, Causeway. It's like a little concrete creek, I suppose you call it. And it's really pretty. It's landscaped on the sides. It's bike trails. Denver really is a beautiful city. It's gorgeous. There's no oxygen to breathe there, but it's a beautiful city to enjoy. But he posted pictures of this thing. The water has come up in the man-made creek. Over the sides, it's covering the bike paths. And I know for a fact that's only a couple of blocks from his house. And I'm like, keep your head down. Stay in the house. Keep your head down. It's scary. A friend of mine, Joe, who lives in Denver today, was telling me that they have come out and said if the amount of moisture coming down as rain were coming down as snow, they would have already gotten over 100 inches of snow. That's how bad it is. That, my dear, is a gully washer. Yeah, but I don't get it. It's like people don't realize just how bad it really is over there. And it's not far from us, really. I feel bad for the people. I really do. Y'all keep your heads down or up above water. We're in Washington. We understand flooding. It's nasty. It's nasty. And the bad thing about flooding is there's usually disease follows, some sort of outbreak or something because of the floodwaters and the mud everywhere and bacteria grows and it's nasty. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know if you're as relieved as I am, but apparently we're not going to invade Syria. Okay, get real. We were never going to invade Syria. Contrary to what everybody was saying. That was never going to happen. It was a surgical strike being considered at this point, at least. But I'm really pleased. I'm really, really very, very pleased and not a little bit relieved, I got to tell you, that they've struck an accord between the U.S. and Russia. Somehow or another, we got together with Russia and decided what we were going to do about Syria. And I'm like, okay, how odd. But all right. When you consider that all but a handful, just a tiny handful of countries all approved the, we won't ever use chemical weapons agreement. And yet when it came down to it and somebody did it for, the fourth time, the other countries were like, we need to step back and watch. What? Watch them gassing more people? What are you doing? Watch what? Anyway. The deal struck by the U.S. and Russia on yesterday, that would eliminate Syria's stockpile by next year represents a major advance in easing international controversy over this issue. Even while considerable obstacles remain, the deal is a very significant breakthrough given where we were just about a week ago, according to Daryl Kimball, Executive Director of the Arms Control Association, which is a D.C.-based arms control group. I'm impressed by the accelerated timelines, which are important here, by the aggressive destruction schedule for Syria's chemical weapons. Now, Assad has agreed to let inspectors come into Syria, inventory his stockpile of chemical weapons, and haul them out to be destroyed. Am I the only person on the face of the planet who doesn't trust that guy any further and I could throw him? He's got all this time before the inspectors ever show up to hide, to distract, to deviate, to be devious. Yeah. I don't know. Call me paranoid. I'm not sure I'm believing him so much. The deal was announced after 3 days of talks in Geneva between Secretary of State John Kerry and the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. It requires that Bashar Assad's regime make a full accounting of its chemical weapons stockpile within a week. Now, the plan lays out a roadmap to the elimination of Syria's chemical weapon caches by 2014. But hiccups are likely along the way, according to Aaron David Miller, the vice president at the Woodrow Wilson Center and former advisor to several secretaries of states. There are bound to be ups and downs. There are bound to be negotiations, he said. What happens when the nickel and diming begins? What happens when you see what's going to be a significant amount of obstruction? Even the experts in this sort of issue expect there to be obstructions. Yeah. What boggles my brain is this is the fourth time this man has gassed his own people. Now, granted, he's gassing the people that support the rebels who don't like him much in his regime. People say that they are the Taliban trained, Taliban supporters. I kind of get the feel, what I've read, it strikes me as I wonder if they're Taliban supporters as far as the Taliban's been the only ones to back them up and help them go after Assad. I am kind of glad that apparently we've learned our lesson about removing dictators from the seats of power. We're not doing that anymore, according to the president. It didn't work too well in some of the other countries we've done this in. Yeah. And even if the guy coming in turns out to be a decent guy who's not running around killing his own people,
it still fails.
It still fails, and we end up on the hook paying for everything. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of paying for other countries to have better school systems than we have. And we replace our road systems, and we replace our infrastructure on our dime. I'm tired of it. I really am. Our interstates, infrastructure system here in the United States, which is our interstates and bridges and things like this, are crumbling. They are crumbling. They were built, a lot of them, vast majority of them, like back in the 50s. That was a long time ago. They need to be replaced. We don't have the money to do that because, well, we're too busy rebuilding Iraq. That goes all the way back to, well, it goes back before this, but the big example in my head is Japan. Japan comes over here unprovoked and blows up our Navy. Y'all remember Pearl Harbor? It was in all the papers. A little thing came out, yeah. Devastated us, our Navy. Killed thousands. We got ticked. We signed a declaration of war. It was an act of war, so it was a declaration of war. We did. Fought a long and bloody war with Japan. Long and bloody. Very determined people, those. Didn't stop. Was not ended until we dropped the big bomb. First on Hiroshima and then on Nagasaki. 2 bombs. We dropped the second one to prove we do have more than one. Don't think we just have the one. That is exactly why we dropped the second one. Believe it or not, that really is. We get them to admit, okay, we stepped over the line. We were bad people and we should not have done this. We were naughty, and we should be punished. How did we punish Japan? We rebuilt Japan. We're still paying for it. Yes, we are still paying for it. Japan is now one of the leading countries on the face of the planet in the up-and-coming industries such as high-tech, internet, things like
and crap
technology.
That's built by America.
Yeah, technology, yeah, because we paid for them to be able to do it. Just, I don't know, kind of irked me a teensy bit. Seemed to me like they should have been paying us for our boats they blew up. And restitution.
I'm sorry we blew up your whole country.
Yep.
But you shouldn't have come over here to begin with.
No, because it was...
We didn't invite you to come blow up Pearl Harbor.
No, at that point it was totally unprovoked. It was. We were not in a war with them. Nobody, shot at them and got them ticked off. Yeah, so I'm holding my breath, figuratively speaking, about Syria. I'm hoping, against hope, that the Assad regime is serious. They're not going to pull a fast one. They're not going to use smoke and mirrors. They're actually going to be above board and straightforward and say, these are the tons of chemical weapons we've got. We agree to let you take them and destroy them because, well, they're a sin against humanity, and we don't want to do this anymore. We're better than that. Take them. I don't see it happening. I'm pretty sure he's going to say that at some point along the way, and he's going to point to a pile of something, canisters, boxes, bales, whatever. But I don't believe, that's just me. I don't believe it. It's not going to be all of it. A man who can go to bed at night and sleep like a baby after gassing his babies in his own country that day. No, I just don't have a lot of faith in him. Don't have a lot of trust in his judgment, his decision-making processes. No, I don't. Call me bizarre. But I don't. Well, I'll tell you what, we are up against the top of the hour here. We're going to take a news break here. When we got back, lots more to talk about. There's been a lot getting on my raw nerve, I'll tell you, here lately this week. It's been amazing. We'll be back right after the news. Hang in there with me. I'll see you in a few.
In Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. Secretary of State John Kerry says he's turning his attention to the UN and the international community to put into force a deal he negotiated with Russia to rid Syria of chemical weapons. Kerry is in Paris now to consult with allies. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports.
Secretary Kerry will be meeting here with his British and French counterparts to talk about ways to move forward with the chemical weapons deal.
It is a framework, not a final agreement. It is a framework that must be put into effect by the United Nations now.
And that requires Russia to agree to a binding Security Council resolution with consequences if Syria does not comply. Kerry came to Paris after meeting in Jerusalem with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Israeli leader says the determination that the international community shows on Syria will have an impact on Iran, which he calls Syria's patron. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, Paris.
Efforts to provide aid to Syria are becoming more urgent. UN humanitarian aid chief Valerie Amos spoke at a press conference in Tehran today. She said the humanitarian situation in the war-torn country is dire.
We now have a situation where 6.8 million people in the country are in urgent need of help. That's nearly a third of the population.
Amos also urged Tehran to use its influence as an ally to allow greater aid access to Syria. Hurricane Ingrid and Tropical Storm Manuel, which are pounding the east and west coast of Mexico, have killed at least a dozen people in the country, which is celebrating Independence Day weekend. James Blears reports.
Tropical Storm Manuel's closing in on the southwestern state of Guerrero. 6 people in an SUV were killed as it went out of control in the international vacation resort of Acapulco. 5 more died in a landslide in Guerrero State, where the city is situated, and another person in a wall collapse. Hurricane Ingrid, which is the second hurricane of the Atlantic season, is expected to make landfall in the northeastern state of Tamaulipas. Independence celebrations have been scrapped in the cities of Tampico, Madero, and Altamira. Thousands already evacuated to emergency shelters. For NPR News, I'm James Blears in Mexico City.
Rescue crews in Colorado are continuing to search for people trapped by floods. Nearly 200 residents are waiting to be airlifted to safety, but bad weather is hampering efforts. Rocky Mountain Incident Management Team Commander Shan Del Gross says he's worried the situation will get worse with additional rainfall in the forecast.
Are we going to get new flooding? Flooding where we had it before? That is a concern.
4 people are confirmed dead and 2 people are missing. This is NPR. It's been a violent day in Iraq. Officials say at least 40 people were killed in a wave of car bombings and shootings. Most of the attacks appear to target Shiite Muslims. The deadliest took place near a busy market where 2 car bombs exploded within minutes of each other, killing at least 9 people. No one has claimed responsibility. In the Philippines, nearly 100 Muslim guerrillas who've been holding hostages have been killed or captured in a standoff with army troops and special police forces. The standoff has been going on for almost a week. From Manila, Simone Orendine reports the government continued its operation Sunday and has taken back some rebel-held locations.
Philippine military spokesman General Domingo Tataan says troops are engaging in calibrated operations against the Moro National Liberation Front.
It's not just simply fighting against the enemy. We have to make sure that these civilians who are held against their will and are used as human shields are not caught in the crossfire.
The vice president tried to broker a ceasefire with the head of the MNLF faction that was expected to take effect at the start of the weekend, but top officials on the ground said sniper and mortar fire was still going on, so the government stepped up its offensive. The military says it interceded Monday when it learned about a plan by the rebels to fly a separatist flag at Zamboanga City Hall. For NPR News, I'm Simone Orendine in Manila.
There's been a coal mine disaster in Afghanistan. Officials say a tunnel collapsed this weekend at a mine in the northern part of the country. At least 24 bodies have been recovered by rescue teams. 3 other workers are missing. This is NPR News.
Support for NPR comes from CN.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
The Legacy Group in Silverdale is a well-respected independent mortgage banker, absolutely committed to helping Kitsap County families on their path to home ownership. As an employee-owned company, the Legacy Group has a strong stake in your success, and they want to be your lifetime partner in helping you develop a strong real estate portfolio. Call the Legacy Group in Silverdale today at 698-6440 and find out how they can help you get started on the road to home ownership. 698-6440 for the Legacy Group, a lending experience that's a little different and a lot smarter.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
Rachel's on the East Side boasts a full menu, including pasta and sandwiches. Plus, Rachel's has got the best pizza in all of Bremerton. And while the weather's nice, enjoy a great night at Rachel's by enjoying their outdoor seating area. Rachel's on the East Side, conveniently located at 1217 Sylvan Way in Bremerton. Rachel's is even open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. So whether it's a romantic night out or a family outing, enjoy the best food on the Kitsap Peninsula at Rachel's on the East Side.
And welcome to hour number 2 of The Raw Nerve on Edge Media Source. You can give us a call at 253-617-1774. And now to your host, the real deal, Susan C.
Thank you, Dennis. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. How y'all doing? It is Sunday.
Yes.
It is a blustery day.
Went and listened to the thunder.
Yes, it is a blustery day in the neighborhood. What is it? 7 Acre Wood? Yeah.
All right, Pooh Bear.
I know. Oh, thunder and lightning going on out there. Not a whole lot of rain, amazingly. I guess that's all down in Colorado, but
yes, we get
thunder
everything
and
else.
lightning, and we don't get that here very often. So it's kind of amazing, and everybody kind of goes outside and goes, oh, wow. We all look like dorks. I know we do, but it's amazing. I do love it. Most of us do. But welcome to the second hour of The Raw Nerve. On the other side of the glass, of course, joining me, Bad Boy Dynasty. How you doing, darling?
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Lovely.
Yes.
Want to remind everybody that this coming Saturday is the last Derby of the season.
Season finale.
Season finale. It's going to be a blowout.
Yes.
That's got to be kind of fun, especially if you've never gone to D-Derby. Go on the last day of the season and watch them just purposely try to beat their poor little cars to lumps of metal.
Yes.
Oh,
Twisted steel.
It just seems like counterintuitive, you know? That's just me. Well, I'll tell you what, lots going on that's on my nerve, and this is one of them that really made me sit up and take notice. The school year this year has started on a sad note for 2 area high schools. Now, school just started like a couple of weeks ago, and 2 students have died after collapsing at 2 separate high schools in the Puget Sound region. Died, for the love of Pete. A male student died Friday after he collapsed during third period PE class at Meadowdale High School in Linwood. Medics rushed to the high school but couldn't revive the junior. Many students said it's a regular requirement for many PE classes that students have to walk or run a mile in under 16 minutes. Now, obviously, by looking at me, I don't walk or run either. I never run, and I don't walk that much. But I don't know, is a mile in 16 minutes, is that slow or fast? Or it doesn't sound very fast.
I'm not doing it.
16 minutes
I'm
to
not
walk
doing
a mile.
I'm not doing it.
I don't know.
I'm not getting anywhere in 16 minutes unless I have a ride.
Well, I've always said, if you see me running, you better start running too. There's something chasing me. It's probably a clown with a bloody knife. I'm telling you, run. Run. But the students say we heard that he was running the mile on the track in the back, and he had collapsed while running it. The PE teacher tried to give him CPR, but it didn't work. The student's parents gave the district permission to reveal the student's name, which is Matthew Truex, but there's very little information about what caused his death. In a letter sent to parents Friday, the school said Matthew Truex was a respectful, hardworking young man who is serious about his education and an all-around nice young man who will be missed. And on Thursday, the day before this, in Lacey, an 18-year-old collapsed at River Ridge High School. She died in what the district said may have been medical issues due to what the district said. Her name is not being released. Both school districts have offered grief counselors to the students and staff. And I'm like, I was reading about this, and I can't remember a school year where we lost 2 students in the first 2 weeks of school. That's just mind-boggling to me. These are young people. These are young people. They should not be dying, barring now, a previously known about medical issue. But I'm telling you, I'm starting to wonder. You know how I don't know if it still is. I haven't had kids in small kids in school for a while, but it used to be if you signed your kid up for extracurricular sports like football or soccer or something like that, very often they'd have to go to the doctor and get a physical, a sports physical. I'm starting to wonder if they shouldn't require that for kids taking PE, to have a sports physical. It might help. It couldn't hurt. I don't know. But that's just beyond tragic because these are young people. I couldn't believe that. Now, this is something that made me absolutely go, what in the... Yeah. According to NBC News, police in New York opened fire after a confrontation with an emotionally disturbed man near New York City's Times Square late on Saturday night. Now, apparently, if you watch the news lately, you read it or you follow it, this is police procedure anymore. If they're dealing with an emotionally disturbed person, they open fire. Have you noticed this? They're always shooting them.
I'm emotionally disturbed.
I read this stuff and it makes me emotionally disturbed and it makes me nervous. Yes, it does. Well, apparently they opened fire and hit 2 women nearby. They missed the emotionally disturbed man, and they hit 2 women who were innocent bystanders. Now, the male was blocking traffic and appeared to be attempting to be struck by vehicles when the officer attempted to take him into custody. The male eluded the officer, and when additional officers responded to the scene, the male put his hand in his pocket and then took it out, simulating that he was shooting at the officers. 2 different police officers then shot at the man, but missed him and hit 2 women instead. One of the women, 35 years old, was grazed in the shooting, which occurred at the famed crossing at 8th Avenue and West 42nd Street just after 10 p.m. last night. A second 54-year-old woman was hit in the knee, police said. Neither injuries were considered life-threatening. The male was taken into custody after being struck by a taser fired by a sergeant who responded to the scene. Okay, my question, number one, why didn't they try a taser in the first place? Try a non-lethal means to deal with an individual? But the bigger picture that struck me, there was a time in this country, I'm showing my age, I know, when police were taught that if it's in a crowded situation, one does not pull out one's gun and start shooting unless there is absolutely no other alternative. Yeah. It's an incredibly busy intersection. It's very famous. It's a Saturday night. Yeah, and I guarantee you that 54-year-old gal that got shot in the knee, her injuries might not be considered life-threatening, but they are life-changing. At 54 years old, get shot in the knee, yeah, her life will never be the same again. I guarantee you. At 54, you don't bounce back, if there is any such thing as bouncing back from being shot in the knee. But you don't bounce back like you do, say, when you're 24. Yeah. And yet they got the guy with the taser. Yeah. Isn't that nice? Isn't that just nice? Call me an alarmist. I don't care. Now, this is something that just boggled my brain. It's the only term for it. Hawaiian health officials have warned swimmers and surfers to stay out of the waters near Honolulu Harbor after a leak of 1,400 tons of molasses killed hundreds of fish, potentially attracting sharks. Now, the Hawaii Department of Health deployed 3 boats to remove the dead fish, and they were expected to remove thousands more in the coming weeks. A brown plume of sweet, sticky liquid was spotted seeping into Honolulu Harbor and Kiishi Lagoon on Monday after a leak was discovered in a pipeline used to load the molasses onto ships operated by the Matson Navigation Company. Now, Roger Smith, a dive shop owner who went underwater on Wednesday to survey the damage, said it was unlike he'd ever seen in 37 years of diving, with brown-tinted water and a layer of molasses coating the seafloor. It's everywhere. Everything that was underwater suffocated, he said. Everything climbed out of its hole, and the whole bottom was covered with fish, crabs, lobsters, worms, sea fans. Anything that was down there was dead. The health department said in a statement that while molasses is not directly harmful to humans, it was polluting the water, causing the fish to die, and could lead to an increase in predator species such as shark, barracudas, and eels. Molasses is a byproduct of refining sugarcane. Okubu said crews were monitoring molasses levels in the water to help predict the spread and overall impact of the 223,000-gallon spill. 223,000 gallons. Oh, my good Lord. Now, they acknowledged in a statement that the spill was caused by a faulty pipe, which they said had been fixed. The company said that the sugar product would dissipate on its own in the water. The company said it regretted the incident and was working with authorities to take steps to ensure it did not happen again. Now, I lived in Hawaii for 5 years. I am very well aware and familiar with Honolulu Harbor. It's gorgeous. A lot of people don't realize what molasses is anymore because they don't use it so much. Used to be refined sugar, white sugar. People didn't have that in their homes. It was way too expensive. It was way too expensive. That's something that the hoity-toity got, the 1%, they used it, and companies, baking companies and stuff, used refined white sugar. Molasses is what the populace used for sweetening. Like I said, it's a byproduct of refining cane sugar. You could almost say it's a waste product, but it's sweet. Now, molasses, you might have heard the saying at some point in your life, you know, something is as slow as molasses in February when it's cold, because molasses is incredibly, incredibly thick. It's very sticky. It's not designed to be hundreds of thousands of gallons of it in the water. And what amazed me was when the company came out and said that they had a contingency plan if there were an oil spill from one of their ships, if there were a fuel spill from one of their ships, but they had no contingency plan for if there were a molasses spill from their equipment. This is a company that makes molasses. They transport hundreds of thousands of gallons of it every day. But they had no contingency plan for what to do if they made a mess. Ecologically speaking, this could be damn near as bad as the one up in Alaska, the Exxon Valdez. This, if it washes on shore, yeah, it will dissipate. If it gets up on the shore and the sticky stuff on the shore, the water, the tide coming in will lap it, dissolve it, and it'll go away eventually. But it's just as deadly to the sea life. And I got to tell you, the sea life there is phenomenal.
Hey, we have breaking news.
What?
The Seahawks game has been suspended because of the weather.
Really?
Yes.
Were they already playing it? Had it already started?
Yes. With 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 13 seconds left in the first quarter because of lightning in the area, the game is currently suspended. Tied at 0.
Now, what do they do with football? Is it like baseball? They just set it out and see if it clears up?
Yep.
If it doesn't, what do they do?
Then I don't know what's going to happen.
Huh.
They may have to have a do-over.
Oh, wow. You don't hear them doing this for football.
No. So the lightning is obviously bad over in Seattle.
Apparently so. We've got
stuff that we aren't seeing inside.
Yeah, we've had some really good thunderbolts here, some lightning going on. We've had more thunder, though, than lightning.
Yes.
Wow, you don't hear about that.
So I just thought I'd throw that out there real quick. So I felt important.
You are, darling, you are. And I appreciate it, because if something happens like that right now, I like to know about it.
Yeah.
I'm not in a position where I could find out. I'm in a box. Yeah.
I'm in another box, but I still found out. Huh?
Well, you're in a more open box. But I got to tell you, that's amazing. I didn't know that they held them. I watched football games played in just some of the most god-awful weather. I remember when I was a kid, my dad would watch football, and they'd be playing in the snow. I mean, it'd be snowing so hard you could barely make out the outlines of the guys on the field. And rain and mud and ugh. I'm kind of glad, though. I'm kind of glad to know that they do this. You shouldn't mess around with thunder. When it's thunder and lightning, yeah, it's pretty dangerous. People die. Now, this was an interesting story I found that made me really get to thinking. Apparently, the United States experienced a higher than normal number of measles cases this year. Measles. Mostly due to a philosophical objection to vaccines. So virtually all U.S. measles cases in 2013 were imported from unvaccinated people. Now, measles elimination, which is what they use the absence of year-round transmission, that's their standard, was declared in 2000 in the United States. But measles is imported into the country from countries where it's still common. A lot of people in other countries still get measles. Measles was almost eliminated in the American population. Was, not anymore. 8 outbreaks and 159 cases of measles were reported to the U.S. Centers of Disease Control between January 1st and August 24th. An outbreak in New York City was the largest U.S. outbreak since 1996 at 58 cases. Now, 99% of the measles cases were from people from other countries or from Americans who visited other countries, while 82% were unvaccinated and 9% had unknown vaccination status. Among U.S. residents who were unvaccinated, 79% said they had philosophical objections to the vaccination. High vaccine coverage is important to prevent the spread of measles following importation, according to researchers. The findings were published in the CDC's Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. Now, we had right here in Washington State, I'm not sure about other states because this is where we were concentrating, but Washington State this past year had several, and we have for the last couple of years, outbreaks of whooping cough, pertussis. And pertussis can kill infants and small children. Let me say that again. Pertussis, or whooping cough, can kill infants or small children. Yeah. But we're having record breakouts. How amazing. Now the U.S. is seeing breakouts of measles. Now, people say measles, well, you get spots. Yeah, you can also go blind or be left deaf. And the vast majority of the reason people are getting these children are getting these diseases is because the vaccines that were developed to prevent children from having to suffer these diseases are being ignored by parents who still think vaccines cause autism. They do not. This is just something that fries my brain. It absolutely does. I'm a mother. I had 3 children. I have 7 grandchildren. They are each and every one of them vaccinated to the hilt. You betcha. I grew up in a time when we didn't have vaccines for a lot of these things. A lot of them. I remember still being lined up when I was a little bitty kid, being lined up in the church to get a sugar cube that had polio vaccine on it. And we were among the first bunch of children who got vaccinated against polio. I have the scar on my shoulder, like a lot of people my age do, that shows I've had a smallpox vaccine. These diseases were practically eliminated until some celebrity, some big name celebrity, a couple of big name celebrities go on television and make the statement that vaccines for routine childhood illnesses are what cause autism or can cause autism. And people went, oh my God. Michelle Pfeiffer said that, it must be true. Tom Cruise said that, it must be true. Show me your documentation.
So you developed another version of your performance football?
That's right. The same extreme.
What am I hearing?
Performance.
Oh, okay.
Nothing.
But we had these diseases licked. I can remember being a kid, the sickest I ever, and I had the measles and I had, all these, I never had whooping cough, knock wood, thank God. But the sickest I remember ever being in my entire life was when I was a child and I had the mumps. And people think the mumps is something funny because, the old-time cartoons or something with the big chipmunk cheeks and, yeah. No, it was miserable. It was miserable. The measles can leave children deaf and blind and can kill them. Pertussis, whooping cough, can leave children dead. They can leave children with lifelong damage to their lungs where they never have healthy lungs for the rest of their lives, however long that might be. Isn't that a wonderful legacy to leave? Seriously. They have done study after study after study after study that all come back and say conclusively there is no correlation, there is no connection, there is no tie-in to autism, higher autism rates, and vaccinations, childhood vaccinations. And people look at, there's stuff in them that they shouldn't be in there. Really, show me your degree. Show me your degree. Call me naive. I know I'm not, because I look into these things. The American government, the American health field, really, honestly and truly, hand to God, I swear to you, is not in the business of poisoning the American people or its children. Okay? And we're talking about the healthcare. Don't get me started on GMs, genetically modified, or no. Don't get me started on that. That's a whole different critter. But when it comes to things like vaccinations, polio is starting to see an increase again. We're seeing an increase in number of children getting polio. Polio kills. Polio disables babies, children, young adults, and adults. And I got to tell you, if my child developed an illness, that there was a vaccine available, that I could have gotten them, and they would not have had this vaccine, and God forbid, knock wood, something horrible happened, I don't think I could look at myself in the mirror ever again. I really don't. And I'll tell you something. we are seeing incredible increases in the number of autism in this country, autism cases, children being diagnosed with autism. And they're being diagnosed younger and younger and younger. And it makes me wonder if, A, our testing is better now, so we can tell, or B, we're labeling a lot of things autism that we really shouldn't. Going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour. We'll be back in just a few. Hang in there with me.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
Make a difference in your community and volunteer at Kitsap Humane Society. We have opportunities for everyone and need help in all areas of the shelter. You can clean, feed, and help socialize animals or answer phones, greet customers, and help run special events and fundraisers. KHS volunteers also lead programs including our foster program, canine training, and animal-assisted therapy. If you are interested in volunteering at Kitsap Humane Society, visit our website at kitsap-humane.org.
The Legacy Group in Silverdale is a well-respected independent mortgage banker, absolutely committed to helping Kitsap County families on their path to home ownership. As an employee-owned company, the Legacy Group has a strong stake in your success, and they want to be your lifetime partner in helping you develop a strong real estate portfolio. Call the Legacy Group in Silverdale today at 698-6440 and find out how they can help you get started on the road to home ownership. 698-6440 for the Legacy Group, a lending experience that's a little different and a lot smarter.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
Rachel's on the East Side boasts a full menu, including pasta and sandwiches. Plus, Rachel's has got the best pizza in all of Bremerton. And while the weather's nice, enjoy a great night at Rachel's by enjoying their outdoor seating area. Rachel's on the East Side, conveniently located at 1217 Silverway in Bremerton. Rachel's is even open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. So whether it's a romantic night out or a family outing, enjoy the best food on the Kitsap Peninsula at Rachel's on the East Side.
And here we come. It's the home stretch, our final half hour here on the Raw Nerve on EdgeMediaSource.com. You can either log in on our webpage or give us a call, 253-617-1774. Now back to your host. Here she is, Susan C.
Thank you, Dennis. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Glad you come along for the ride today. It's been a bumpy ride, I'll tell you.
It's been a boomy ride.
Boomy ride, yes. It's been a boomy ride. We just had another good one here. If everything goes black here at some point and it doesn't come back in a couple of minutes, you know, we lost power. It's really...
We got electrocuted. Great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
We're
all in here to look forward to.
We're all in here looking like fried squirrels, you know. Yeah. Kind of a weird mental image I have here. Well, I'll tell you what. This is just bizarre. By anybody's standards, by anything I've ever been raised to believe, I'm so glad I don't live in Texas. Have I ever mentioned I'm really glad I don't live in Texas? I am really glad I don't live in Texas. I'll say that. That's my opinion. I'm really glad I do not live in Texas. A woman in Texas is reportedly being sued by the police for allegedly not informing officers how dangerous the situation in her home was after dialing 911 for help. I kid you not.
I thought they were prepared for anything.
Well, I thought they realized they had a dangerous job.
Yeah.
That's just me. Deputy Brandon Pullen was assaulted by a man on bath salts, which is one of the newer home designer drugs.
Remedies.
Yeah, cook them up yourself, that are out there now. But he was assaulted by a man on bath salts when he responded to a call in Harris County back in December, according to KEYE TV. Now, television station. Now, Pullen is suing the homeowner for calling for help, reportedly alleging gross negligence for her failure to inform the 911 operator about the man's potential for violence resulting in his injuries. Police officials, however, are still encouraging residents to dial 911 during emergencies. Every day we have servant leaders who are responding to calls from the community, said Harris County Sheriff Adrian Garcia. Continue to call us if you need to help. We'll be there, and we'll be there to help. And then sue you later. What? I read this, and I think my mouth fell open. It really did. A woman is in a frightening situation in her life, in her home. She calls the police, says there's a man here, domestic violence, blah, 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 whatever's going on. Deputies show up. Apparently, the man she's having a difficulty with assaults the deputy. Deputy gets injured. Now he's suing the homeowner who called 911. No, dumbass. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Sue the man who hurt you, yes. But probably he doesn't have anything and he can go after the homeowner because, well, she's a homeowner. She has an asset. Are you kidding me? Would you feel comfortable calling the police for anything? They might show up, well, I've been in a car accident and I need some help. So the policeman shows up and somebody, rear-ends the police car and hurts him. Am I going to get sued? These are fair questions. I just cannot wrap my brain around a situation where the police can turn around and sue you because their job turned out to be dangerous. No. That's the dumbest.
Because they're wussies.
That is and I'm telling you, we need to hire police. And don't misunderstand me. I have nothing but respect for the police. I really do. I really admire, because they're out there doing a job I wouldn't want to do. I mean, I was a firefighter for 8 years. I ran into burning buildings, but I do not want to do their job. Okay? I'm glad there are people out there willing to do this. But come on, guys. Let's hire people that, number one, can take care of themselves, are physically fit and able to, take care of themselves. B, let's hire people who, I don't know, recognize that the job carries hazards and dangers. And not take it out on the guys that, I need some help. That's what you're here for. Yeah. And 3, can we please stop hiring police officers who are terrified of dogs? This is something that's just been chapping my hide for weeks now. It seems like every time I turn around, there's a story where some police officers went in and shot somebody's dog. The dog wasn't doing anything. We're not talking about dogs attacking police out there. But the police felt threatened because the dog was sitting on its porch or sitting in its backyard, so they shot the thing. Can we please hire police officers who are not terrified of dogs? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. It's a silly thing, but it's important to me. It's important to a lot of people. And it's just been story after story after story. I've been hearing this. Speaking of hearing, I'm not hearing anything. But
why not?
I don't know. You're pushing the buttons.
No, I'm not.
Everything's his fault. You will learn this. You stick with me for a while, you're going to learn this. Everything is always Dennis's fault.
Yeah, whatever.
It's in his contract, okay? It's in his contract.
I hear everything just fine. I don't know why you think.
Well, I do now.
Well,
but
because you're over there messing with stuff. Stop it.
I'm not touching anything.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he makes fun of me because I'm so technically inept, and I admit I am.
And she's married to a techie.
I am. My husband, he can build computers, make them stand up, salute you in the morning, and make you coffee. It's amazing.
Yep, but she still complains about the coffee.
Nah, he makes it good now. All right, we're playing. In the karma section of today's programming, this really, at first, my first blush of reaction to this was because of my age. I was raised, you don't say bad things about somebody who's dead. You just don't. It's bad karma. It's, it's not, it's very tacky. It's not nice, But I got to tell you, the more I think about this, the more it gets me to thinking. On September 10th, okay, this is a while ago, but this is worth visiting. The Reno Gazette-Journal published the obituary of Mary Ann Teresa Johnson Reddick, who passed away at the age of 78 in Reno, Nevada. This was not, however, your typical fond remembrance for a loved one in this obituary. It was penned by her daughter, Catherine Reddick. So her daughter, the woman dies, she's 78 years old, she dies, daughter steps in to write the obituary. Happens all the time. Oh, but what did she say? Now, her daughter described a childhood of abuse and neglect. Reddick and her siblings were often in and out of foster homes, and her mother allegedly ran an escort service in Nevada. They've been estranged for 3 decades. Reddick now works for the Pflugerville Independent School District in Texas. Now, after it went viral, and oh boy did it, her brother Patrick told the Associated Press that the purpose of the obit was, quote, to bring awareness to child abuse, shame child abuse overall, unquote. He and his sister both testified in Nevada legislature in 1987 on a bill regarding termination of parental rights. It must have been a real doozy growing up in her house. The paper has since run a correction to the obit, which ran online and in print. Now, the date of death was August 30th, not September 30th, as it was reported. They also pulled the listing from the web indefinitely, as it was a paid placement to their self-service online portal. In a note to readers, the paper's publisher, John Mayer, stated, "We've removed the online listing of this obituary as we continue our review of the circumstances surrounding its placement. Once we've completed our review, we'll determine what, if any, further actions are required." Now, this is the actual obituary that ran in the paper that her daughter wrote. Mary Ann Teresa Johnson Reddick, born January 4th, 1935, died alone on September 30th, 2013. She is survived by 6 of her 8 children, whom she spent her entire life torturing in every way possible. While she neglected and abused her small children, she refused to allow anyone else to care or show compassion towards them. When they became adults, she stalked and tortured everyone they dared to love. Everyone she met, adult or child, was tortured by her cruelty and exposure to violence, criminal activity, vulgarity, and hatred of the gentle or kind human spirit. On behalf of her children, whom she so abrasively exposed to her evil and violent life, we celebrate her passing from this earth and hope she lives in the afterlife, reliving each gesture of violence, cruelty, and shame that she delivered upon her children. Her surviving children will now live the rest of their lives with the peace of knowing that their nightmare finally has some form of closure. Most of us have found peace in helping those who have been exposed to child abuse, and hope this message of her final passing can revive our message that abusing children is unforgivable. Our greatest wish now is to stimulate a national movement that mandates a purposeful and dedicated war against child abuse in the United States of America. Wow. She must have been, as we used to say back home, a piece of work. The idea of passing away at 78 years of age, and this is what gets put in the paper as your obituary. Like I said, my first reaction was, I was raised, you don't say nothing bad about the, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing. So you don't say nothing. But I got to tell you, if she has a history of abusing these children, 6 of 8 children surviving, maybe she has it coming. And I got to tell you, they have an interesting point. If somebody thought that when they go, their story, their past, what they did, what they inflicted on other people could actually come out, when they're in no position to deny it or fight it or anything like this, I wonder if that would give some people pause. I wonder if some people would maybe think twice before they abuse children. I have a hard time wrapping my brain around the idea of abusing a child in the first place. I don't get it. I've been made just borderline insane, madder than a wet hen, hopping mad at my children. You bet. You bet. There have been days I would have cheerfully given them away to somebody at the door. But I tell you, abuse a child? Come on.
That was an accident.
I figured that, dear. That's why I'm ignoring you. But I figure...
It's not nice to ignore Mother Nature.
Yes, Mother. What a mental image. I've got to figure that if a person is made up, their thinking pattern, their sense of right and wrong, their ethics, their morality is such that they think abusing a child is okay, then maybe it's what you deserve. Maybe it's better than what you deserve. It's enough to make you wonder. It got me to thinking.
Looking for a little man? What you looking for?
Your mic is on, dear.
Shush.
But it got me thinking. And it makes me wonder. It really does.
Had to deal with little people.
I got that. We all got that.
Don't pick on me, lady.
Oh, I'm in a mood today. Don't blame me. I'm in a mood.
We still have a ride all the way to Port Orchard.
I make you walk in the thunder and the lightning. Yeah.
Yeah, you need me to put gas in the car, so stop it.
Yeah, well. This is one that just kind of struck me as, I don't know what, this is under the heading of, I don't know what's wrong with people. I realize that people have not gotten more stupid, I hope, over the years. When I was growing up, I'm sure there were people that did really stupid things then. But I got to tell you, I got to wonder. The family of a 2-year-old boy mauled by African wild dogs at Pittsburgh Zoo and PBG Aquarium shot back last Thursday. There's a big lawsuit going on. Okay. So the aquarium shoots back last Thursday. It claims, made in court filings by zoo officials this week, that the mother's negligence led to the fatal incident that killed her son. Yeah. 2-year-old boy mauled by African wild dogs at the zoo. Fatal incident. Now, Maddox Durkosh was fatally mauled on November 4th, 2012 at the zoo's now closed African wild dogs exhibit when he was lifted by his mother above a railing to get a better view. He lurched forward and fell into the exhibit, whereupon he was mauled. Parents Jason and Elizabeth Durkosh filed a lawsuit in May that accuses the zoo and the Zoological Society of Pittsburgh of wrongful death and negligence and seeks a minimum of $300,000 in damages. In its response filed earlier this week, the zoo denied claims the officials had ample warning that parents lifted their children onto the railing by an unprotected area overlooking the exhibit and said the child's death was due to Elizabeth Durkosh's negligence and or recklessness. Now, attorneys for the zoo said Durkosh placed her son over the top of the railing and failed to maintain a proper grasp of him.
Michael Jackson got blamed for dangling his kid.
Yes, he did. He got zapped really good. And this is what the family's attorney dismisses these claims, okay? Their answer blaming the Durkoshes is outrageous, attorney Robert Munganzelli said. Maddox Durkosh was attacked and killed at Pittsburgh Zoo, and now the zoo is attacking what's left of the family. The zoo argued that while its employees had responsibility for visitors, it cannot control all of the conduct of its patrons while they are on zoo premises. It noted the visitors were also responsible for their safety and had a duty to act in a responsible and prudent manner. The zoo also said that the railing surrounding the enclosure was at least 42 inches high and complied with all applicable building and safety codes. It also denies claims made by the family that it had out-of-date, non-functioning tranquilizer darts before the accident. This court battle is continuing, and it should be an interesting one to watch unfold to see how it comes out. Now, look at this situation. Family takes their little 2-year-old child to the zoo. Lots of families do that. Fun, educational, have a blast. How many of us have seen this, though? How many of you have been at the zoo, we're talking a decent-sized zoo, and seen parents doing truly stupid things?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't blame the zoo because you're dumb.
I am so sorry that they lost their child. I am truly, and it must have been absolutely horrific. I could not imagine what these poor people went through.
Yes, but it's their fault.
Ultimately, yes. They have a 42-inch high railing around there to protect small children and people from falling in.
To keep you away from doing stupid stuff.
Right. So they pick their child up over so they get an unobstructed view. And what happens?
They do stupid stuff.
They drop the kid.
Yup.
Basically, that's what happened. They dropped the kid.
And what happened? The kid became dinner.
Well, yeah.
You don't want your kid to get ate, don't put it in the dish.
Pretty much. Don't light the oven. Don't light the oven. You remember the case where the little 3-year-old child fell into the gorilla enclosure? It was back east. I'm off the top of my head, I can't remember. But everyone saw the video, and everyone thought, "Oh, the gorillas are going to kill the baby." But that one gorilla came over, and she picked up the baby and cradled him and carried him over to the access door.
Yeah.
So that staff workers could get the child.
Yeah.
Amazing story, heartwarming. I've still got goosebumps just remembering it because it was amazing. But the bottom line is that child should never been in a position to have been able to fall into the gorilla enclosure.
Yep. That was very similar to what happened up in Alaska many years ago. A polar bear by the name of Binky.
Binky.
Yes, Binky the polar bear. After a woman who had made Anchorage a stop along her tour of the world, she got her ankle tore up by Binky the bear, and readily admitted, I screwed up. I had my feet where they shouldn't have been. She climbed inside of a railing to get a better picture and said that she was stupid. Now, just within a month after that, mother of this teenage boy who got his genitalia bit off by Binky the bear because the boy snuck in after hours and decided they were going to go swimming.
With the bear?
Yeah. And mom tried to sue the dang zoo.
Really?
The woman needed to have her scent slapped. Because that was the dumbest, ridiculous... And the bear got in trouble. The bear, I don't believe it got put down, but it got relocated.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't put down, if it actually injured somebody severely. It's not right that the animal has to pay the price for our stupidity.
Yes.
And that's basically what it is. And how often do you hear this? Somebody gets injured, and we've heard it several times, because they go over, they've got the... Here's your walkway.
They've got barricades up for a reason.
They've got fences and barricades, but people will climb over them to get a better picture.
You
really?
Don't climb out of the shark cage and complain you got bit by the shark.
Yes. I mean, don't they have pictures in the gift shop if you want a really up close good picture of the polar bear?
Yeah, they took
you can
one
go buy
earlier.
One. Yeah.
By a professional.
Really? It's just, I don't understand the mindset whereby people think it's all right that I can do something totally stupid in this world, even though I have to suffer an incredible tragic cost for it. And I do feel terrible for the family.
But the animal should never have to pay.
The animal should never have to pay, and neither should the zoo.
Nope.
Neither should the zoo.
The zoo did what it was supposed to do.
Now, if they leaned on a railing...
And the railing collapsed,
and
then
the railing was defective, the railing was defective or something, that would be the zoo's fault. But there was nothing wrong here. They actively held the child up over the railing to get a better view.
Yeah,
I remember when I was probably... maybe 5 years old. Boy, that's going way back. But I can remember my family were touring in the Midwest, and somewhere they had an exhibit of sharks, which is not something you see very commonly in the Midwest.
Yeah. Right.
We tend to be a little waterlogged, landlocked. But they had a big tank, and they had sharks swimming in this tank. And we went in to see the sharks because it's not something you see. And for some bizarre reason that I, to this day, don't understand, my grandparents raised me, but my grandfather picked me up. Now, I was always small for my age. I was a little tiny thing. He picks me up and holds me out over the shark tank so I could see the sharks.
Yeah, not right.
At this moment, I mean, I don't know about these children, but at this moment, I do remember that I instantly lost all interest whatsoever in looking at a shark.
Yeah.
Right then, I did not care to see the sharks anymore. Pull me in. I remember it scared me so bad because I thought for sure he was going to drop me in this water and I was going to be snagged for somebody. And thankfully he didn't, but that's a great example of I love my pop. He's a fabulous man, but that was a truly stupid thing to do. It really was. And it's just gotten to the point that we seem to be living in a society where you can do any stupid, dumbass thing you can imagine. And people think, I'm going to sue somebody.
Oh, there's another report on the Seahawks game. It is scheduled to resume at 7.
At 7.
At 7:05 to be
Which
exact.
is in about 10 minutes, a little over 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes.
So if we hurry up, I can get home. I can watch it.
Shut up. Some days I don't know why I put up with this boy. I swear. We have a blast. Can you tell we do have a lot of fun? But
And it's not for the love of money.
Lord knows. Lord knows. That's just tickled my funny bone right there. The mindset that people have in this country anymore. And it's true. Our legal system in the United States of America, you're allowed to sue anybody for anything. And I think that's great. I think that's great. But I think a lot of people really abuse the system. Okay. And I'm not talking about the woman who sued McDonald's and won because she had coffee in her lap and it burned her. You know, most people don't know the whole story for that. I actually don't. I'm actually glad that she sued them and won, because if you hear all the details to that, which I have heard and read and looked into, it was a horrific incident. It really was, and not her fault. But you hear about people doing something really... Riding lawnmowers have a safety warning on them. Do not operate on a slope steeper than about that. Now, you know that warning label is on there because somebody was really stupid and did something really stupid and probably got killed. People are killed or injured every year in this country from riding lawnmowers, not being chopped up by them, but having them rolling over on them. I've seen people using a riding lawnmower on a slope like this.
Well,
really?
And there are people that still need those instructions: lather, rinse, and repeat.
Yeah, that's true. Do you know the guy that came up with those 3 words, did more to increase sales in shampoo than any advertising, anything ever in the history of shampoo?
And now he's rich and famous.
Just because he put repeat on there. Yep. I should be so lucky. But, you know, the bottom line of it is, at some point in your life, you've got to be willing to stand up and take responsibility for what you do. You've got to be able to stop looking around and saying, well, I got hurt, or I lost this, or I had this taken away from me. Who can I sue to get restitution? Who can I sue to make something off of it? And I'm not talking about the people who do fraud all the time and pretend to slip and fall and all that. That's a whole other topic, and these people will burn in hell. It makes me so mad. But I'm talking about people who genuinely just do something stupid, not setting out to do something stupid and not setting out to cause an injury or an accident, but they do something stupid, something horrible happens because of it, and they don't have the ability to stand up and say, I did a stupid thing. Why? Why not? I've told my daughters, if you wonder at what point you can call yourself an adult, it's when you can mess up and you can go to the person most affected by your screw up, look them in the eye and say, look, I screwed up. I'm really sorry. I'll do everything in my power to fix whatever I screwed up, and I'll try very, very hard not to do it in the future. I'm sorry. That's when you can call yourself an adult. And I got to tell you, it seems to me, if you go by that sort of standard, we don't have a lot of adults in this country. Because everybody's out looking for what they can get from someone else. You've got police officers suing homeowners because they responded to a 911 call that the woman needed help. He got injured. Now he's suing her because he got injured. Come on. What are you supposed to do? Not call 911 unless you're prepared to give them a full statement of, this is what the suspect looks like, this is what they're wearing, this is the direction they were leaving, they left in this car, this is the license plate number of this car. Are we supposed to do their job before we call 911? And I got to tell you, a lot of people, if they're in a situation where they feel it necessary to call 911 and get a police officer out there to help them, they're having a really bad day. They're not calm as they normally would be. They're not collected as they normally would be. Their memory is shot. They're not going to remember much. And I think for a police officer that this is his job, he has, for the love of Pete, seen this enough times in his career. For him to then come back and say, I'm going to sue her because I got injured. No. If you do something stupid, own it. Face up to it and own it. If you do something dangerous because, well, you went out of your way to do it, own that too. Just my opinion. Tell you what, stay tuned for the Outlaw Radio Network from 7 to 10, and then last call from 10 to 11 when they get
you almost
naughty.
Dropped that.
Huh?
You almost dropped that.
I did not. Stay tuned for K-Dog and St. Paul, the Voice of Reason, and I will be back here next Sunday at 5. Join me, and I'll see you then. Thanks.
Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. Secretary of State John Kerry says he's turning his attention to the UN and the international community to put into force a deal he negotiated with Russia to rid Syria of chemical weapons. Kerry is in Paris now to consult with allies. NPR's Michelle Kellerman reports.
Secretary Kerry will be meeting here with his British and French counterparts to talk about ways to move forward with the chemical weapons deal.
It is a framework, not a final agreement. It is a framework that must be put into effect by the United Nations now.
And that requires Russia to agree to a binding Security Council resolution with consequences if Syria does not comply. Kerry came to Paris after meeting in Jerusalem with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Israeli leader says the determination that the international community shows on Syria will have an impact on Iran, which he calls Syria's patron. Michelle Kellerman, NPR News, Paris.
Efforts to provide aid to Syria are becoming more urgent. UN humanitarian aid chief Valerie Amos spoke at a press conference in Tehran today. She said the humanitarian situation in the war-torn country is dire.
We now have a situation where 6.8 million people in the country are in urgent need of help. That's nearly a third of the population.
Amos also urged Tehran to use its influence as an ally to allow greater aid access to Syria. Hurricane Ingrid and tropical